Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time since you've seen me. I'm Devin. I am the voice of that Omni Hero deck profile that showed up a long time ago, and I have been absent since. Life really got in the way. I no longer live with my brother. I haven't really been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! The past few months. This was my first tournament since, I want to say, the spring. So, I got to experience a lot of new stuff. But I do want to say thank you to three very important people who I could not have done what I did with as little practice as I've had without their support. Namely, my brother Zack. He is the normal uploader on this channel. He's very, very talented at the game, and he's helped me a lot with deck building and what non-engine is good in the meta right now. Second shout out goes to my friend Garrett. He has been supportive, and we have play tested, and he's done me some huge favors while I go through some harder parts of life. Things are easier now, don't worry. But he's really been there for me and helped keep me in the game, and I just want to say thank you to him if he ever sees this. And finally, I want to say thank you to Christine. She is a wonderful woman. She had no clue what was going on. She doesn't know a whole lot about Yu-Gi-Oh! Other than the snippets I've told her. But she came with me to the tournament and just to be there and be supportive, and it really meant a lot to me. So if you ever see this, thank you, Christine. So an explanation as to what this video is. It's going to be a little bit different than the deck profiles that have been uploaded here before. I want to go more in-depth about my thinking, about why I play certain cards, and how they impacted my tournament run. So we'll start off with the main deck. Move that out of the way. As you can very plainly see, we are playing ABC Dragon Buster. So we play 3B, 2A Assault Core, 2 Crush Wyvern, 1 Union Driver, 3 Union Hanger, and 2 unauthorized reactivations. So this is where all the magic happens in the deck. We run a lot of engines, but everything kind of meshes together thanks to the cards located here. I'm not playing 3 of all the names, which did come up and is something to be tested with further. I plan on bringing this deck to a YCS in the future, so I'm trying to hit up as many tournaments as I can now to prepare for that, and 3 of each of the pieces is definitely something I'm considering. B was phenomenal. The problem I ran into with only having 2C and 2A is there were instances where I would get into a grind game, especially against Brandon. And so, I would be in a position where I could make a big push, but I didn't have the pieces in deck to facilitate that. They were all either in the grave and dead because I was missing a letter, or banished because my ABC Dragon Buster got interrupted. Union Hanger is at 3 mandatory. That's never going up or down. You really want to see it. Unauthorized reactivation is an interesting card. If you see it plus an ABC piece, you really don't need the hanger. However, if you hold it, if you see it plus Union Hanger and you hold it to when your opponent tries to interact with you, because a lot of the time if you go normal summon B, okay, your opponent, this happened to me because I was playing against my previously mentioned buddy Garrett. He was on Exosister. And so normal summon B goes to banish it, unauthorized reactivation, equip the A, and the B is now protected from monster effects. So unauthorized reactivation really helps ensure your plays go through, as well as giving you pluses, because now when this B goes to grave, you also have the A effect to go off. And that is it for the actual ABC pieces themselves. The second most important engine in this deck is definitely the adventure engine. I see a lot of people cutting this. I think it is a mistake. So ABC can grind really well if it wants to, depending on how frequently you put your ABC on board, or yeah, I mean, the deck can grind as long as you want it to, as long as you hold your ABCs, Dragon Busters, in the extra deck until they're most needed. This really helps with that. It's an Omni Negate every turn, meaning you don't necessarily have to tag out into the pieces to get link plays, to get disruption for the following turn if you're in a grind game. You can just keep searching the Griffin Rider. The other really vital thing this little package does is, let's say you open Revolution Synchron and a field spell, but no ABC pieces. What do? Well, if you activate right, the token is a level 4. You get your Fateful Adventure. You use its effect, because you're not going to search for Griffin Rider this turn. You use its effect to search Water Enchantress, discard the Water Enchantress, and then you have another token and another search next turn to set up your Griffin Rider. And then you use your Revolution Synchron and your token to make Ancient Fairy Dragon and combo off from there. So Rite of Aramis here, Revolution Synchron, and any field spell is full combo. Next up, also very important and also helps give this deck a grind game, is the Therion package. So I play 2 and 2. You really want to see these cards. Regulus is an absolutely insane extender. It's a body that's an Omni Negate, and it also gives you back one of your ABC pieces to re-special summon to like link off and get their effects again. And Disc Coliseum is absolutely insane. For those of you who are not aware, I'm sure many people are aware of when this card was meta relevant back in Difo format. It can protect things by battle by sending a Therion card, including the other copies of the field spell, so you don't have to burn through your Reguluses. As well as, if a monster is destroyed by battle, you get to add a Therion monster back to hand from graveyard, which is absolutely insane. So you're threatening a Regulus every turn, every time they go to battle. Next engine up, we play 1 Tuning and 3 Revolution Synchron. Ancient Fairy Dragon is just insane. But little known secret, Ancient Fairy Dragon is also the biggest weakness of this deck. Because you commit a lot to get into it, and then if your plan fails, you can't get into Platinum Gadget to get a piece out of hand because the Ancient Fairy Dragon is not a machine. However, Revolution Synchron can bring himself back, and then you can link off for the Platinum Gadget and get the pieces out that way. So it's absolutely insane in the deck. Ancient Fairy Dragon into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon is crazy, but it's also much more flexible for that. It's also a target for Regulus. If, like, let's say you get disrupted and your piece gets Bestialed or DD Crowed, then you can always equip the Revolution Synchron and still have an Omni Negate. Next up, So this is what I'm playing over the Destrudo package. 2 Fenrir and a field spell. Fenrir is an absolutely insane card. This is a field spell deck, so this field spell for me is like typically the one I'll set off of set rotation, and then I'll bounce it back with Draco back, or I'll pop it with Ancient Fairy Dragon so nobody gets to use it. The reason I don't play this as a this has 2 Dragon's Ravine and a Destrudo is because Fenrir is a body that forces interaction all by himself. Potentially 2 pieces of interaction, right? So, special summon Fenrir, you're threatening to banish something face down. You go Fenrir to search. They don't know if you're going to search Fenrir or if you're going to search an extender and continue into a rank 7 play. So that's an Ash target. And then, you go to battle phase, you attack, and you banish something face down. This card chews through interaction, and this deck needs as much help doing that as possible because you really, really, really want your Union Hanger to resolve. And if this can eat 2 or more pieces of interaction, I think that's good. Whereas Destrudo kind of does nothing by itself. You need a level 4 body, which is in excess thanks to the Adventure Engine and the ABC pieces themselves. But the Destrudo does not directly convert into a disruption the same way that Revolution Synchron does, because you can't go into the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Finally, one of's Terraforming, set rotation mandatory. So next up, the card that's really probably going to price a lot of people out of this deck, but I feel is absolutely mandatory, is 3 Pot of Prosperity. This card is insane. Most of the time, in my experience, if it actually resolves, you win. Unless you get incredibly lucky, which happens. But just the ability to look for any card in your deck to out any situation you're looking at is incredible. A lot of the times, if I'm playing against like a combo heavy deck, like I was in practice, I'll just let them chew through my hand, and then I'll Pot of Prosperity and get like a Kurikara or something off the top, and wipe their board, and then take back like a Bestial Despatter or a Barone, and then I have a free negate. And that's enabled thanks to Prosperity being able to find anything. I mean, obviously sometimes you get unlucky, you don't hit anything good off the top, but this is effectively 3 or 6 copies of every card in your deck, which is wild. And this deck does have consistency issues, so these are really needed. Last up, we have Board Breakers and Hand Traps. Arise Heart's gone, so Forbidden Droplets is back in. This card performed insane for me all night. Normally, you can normal summon, if, let's say you're clogged with ABC pieces, you normal an ABC piece, you go Droplet, send the one from field, send whatever ones you have in hand, and you just went plus. You can send Water Enchanters to the grave. Sometimes you can even send Revolution Synchron. You can send the extra Fenrir you searched off of Fenrir. It just goes absolutely wild. You can pitch most of your hand and still get to full combo and have their entire board negated. 3 Ash Blossom. It's generic. It kind of hits everything. And while we're here, 2 Impermanent, same thing. This doubles up for me as a trap to pitch off of Forbidden Droplet, so my opponent can't respond with trap effects. I wanted to play at least some form of trap card in my deck for that purpose. Ash Blossom could be switched out potentially with another hand trap, but there's just a lot of branded at my locals, so it was really nice to see. Next up, we have the extra deck. First, we'll start off with the mandatory 3 of. This is your deck. Everything else in this extra deck goes through him. Sometimes you can banish one off of Prosperity if you can kind of tell, like if you can put up enough interaction and you can tell like, oh, it's going to be a short game. They're not recovering from what I'm going to do. You can banish one off of Prosperity and be fine. But for the most part, playing him at anything less than 3 is crazy. Because sometimes you end up in games where all you have is Union Hanger. Union Hanger gets you to ABC, but you're not doing much after that until your next turn, and then you need to make another ABC, and then also climb into access code. And if they somehow out that, and you only play 2, then you're kind of screwed. Next up, Platinum Gadget, mandatory for the combo. He special summons a piece from hand. IP Masquerena. Really crazy card in this deck. With ABC Dragon Buster, it can convert into an Underworld Goddess, an Appaloosa for 4, a Nightmare Unicorn, or a Nightmare Phoenix. It is super flexible, and it's just about any disruption you could ask for. And it gets even better once Age of Overlord comes out. Next up, we have the Nightmares. Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Unicorn. Nightmare Phoenix I will probably cut for SP Little Knight when that comes up. It didn't really come up for me tonight, outside of the fact that it is a generic Link 2 that can be used as Link 2 material. That specifically about it came up a lot. Like I needed Link 2 to Link climb into Unicorn, into whatever, because I had like a C on field and a bunch of names in hand. So I was able to just keep cycling C's and climb up through Unicorn into Access Code Talker. Appaloosa, again, crazy. You can get a 4 in this deck, which a lot of hands can't play through. Access Code Talker, he's how you close out games. If you have nothing on field and you IP into a Nightmare Unicorn, and then you ABC Dragon Buster, bring back all your pieces, you can rank 2 of them up into an Access Code Talker, use the other 2 to like go into a Nightmare Phoenix or something if they have one random back row, and then all you have to do at that point is banish them from grave and special summon an ABC Dragon Buster, and that's lethal. Underworld Goddess never came up for me, but I believe is absolutely mandatory with Pearly running around. Because sometimes you don't draw Herald of the Abyss, sometimes you don't draw XYZ Encore, and sometimes you don't draw Kurikara, so you need something to out a lot of these Towers decks that are running around. For Xyz, I'm on Baguska, Abyss Dweller, and Zeus. So if you get shifted, you can easily get to Baguska. You can get to Baguska under Harpy's Featherstorm. There are many ways to get to Baguska that Flunder does not appreciate. I have run into Flunder a lot, not at this tournament that I went to, but I ran into it a lot in online testing in preparation for this tournament. There's a lot of people in my locals at Flunder. Luckily, I didn't play against any of them, but I just want them to know he was ready. He was ready to stop them. Tearlance is running around, and Unchained, this shuts both of those decks down. And if you're going to play an Xyz, why not play Zeus? Generally, I never made the Zeus tonight. There were situations where he could have come up. Generally, the 3 Xyz are my first 3 banishes off of Prosperity. But there were situations tonight where I was in like a grind game, and all I could think is, Zeus could come up, and it almost did. But luckily, my opponent ran out of interaction before I did, so it didn't have to happen. And the last 2 cards, Ancient Fairy Dragon and Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. I'm not on Black Rose, because Black Rose blowing up the entire field is a neg for you. You need bodies on board to do your combo. Ancient Fairy Dragon and Crystal Wing. Ancient Fairy Dragon's absolutely insane. Do not forget that you cannot go to battle phase the turn you activate its effect to special summon a monster from hand. That cost me a game. And then Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon is just a good monster negate. A lot of decks have a hard time outing this because it doesn't just negate, it gains attack. So if you negate something really big, they can't beat over it. And that's it for the extra deck. On to the side deck. Three Droll and Lockbird. I'm worried about the Fluandereeze matchup, and I'm also worried about random combo decks popping up. Did not come up tonight. I actually cut it Nibiru last second for this, and I really wish I had played Nibiru instead. We play a lot of back row hate because our deck cannot handle back row. Oops, that third Cosmic Cyclone was not in there. I was working on my list and what changes I needed to make before I started making this video. Lots of back row hate. I really would like to find room for the third Cosmic Cyclone, which is what I was just doing, because you cannot play under anti-spell. And it got flipped on me in Game 3 of Finals, so I took second place because of it, and I do not want to lose to anti-spell again. So we're finding room for the third Cosmic Cyclone. Lightning Storm is insane because people just don't play around it, and you can just wipe their board. Had that happen multiple times. 3 DD Crow. You might be thinking, DD Crow, why not Bestials? So DD Crow can hit any card, not just light and dark monsters, which is relevant in the Unchained matchup. It can hit tier names, and it also does not allow them to add a card off of thrust. They can't, if you DD Crow them, they cannot thrust into triple attacks and rip your hand. They have to set a spell trap to the field. Next up, we play 3 Kurikara. Personally, I think it's just the best out to Towers monsters right now. There's a lot of people in my area on Marincess and Pearly and things like that. And this deck can chew through a lot. Almost every single individual card in the deck is extremely powerful. So you can more or less bait an entire board of interaction. Kurikara get up to like 6k. Swing in for 6k, and then reborn like an Omni Negate from their graveyard, and they're on low resources because they committed to making a full board, and you distributed it away. You can win games off of that. Finally, in the side deck, we have Illegal Knight. Illegal Knight I side specifically for Fluandereeze and back row decks. It's better going first into back row decks because you just Illegal Knight, bounce the 2 traps they set in the end phase, and then drink it back, bounce your Illegal Knight, and do it again every turn, and then they just can't commit anything to board. It's good into Fluandereeze because if they're on their normal summon chain, they go normal Rabina, normal Eaglin, Eaglin Search M-Pen. Before they normal summon, you chain to the Eaglin, Illegal Knight, bounce the 2 baby birds. It puts them on they have to have both Toucan and Shree in hand in order to play through that. And that is it for the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. I am open to any questions. I will make sure I read the comments, and hopefully this is something I do more often. I'd like to be on the channel a little bit more. And you guys, take it easy. Hey guys, Editor Devin here, just to explain a few things that I maybe overlooked when I recorded the video. It was like 2 a.m. I was pretty stressed out and brain dead from just being at a tournament full of people. I have horrible anxiety, but that's neither here nor there. But the things I want to clarify are, number one, I'm moving. And I don't currently have access to better camera equipment. That's something I am working towards right now. As for the tournament itself, I got second place. I played against round one was against Exo's sister. Round two was against like a super heavy samurai orchest pile. Very difficult matchup. We both ended up bricking in game three, so it was whoever draw playable first won. Round three was against Red Plant Branded, which was incredibly difficult. Having to play around the Mirror Jade, popping everything on field, and also learning that a lot of my deck is vulnerable to Super Poly, which is something to keep in mind and play around in the future. The final round that I lost to was against Sword Soul. I kind of blew him out with Forbidden Droplets multiple times. And in the very end, he won by flipping anti-spell fragrance into me, and I had a handful of spells. Um, so that finals match was, from the way he was talking, it didn't really seem like it was fun for either of us. But that's how the tournament run went. That's what I played against. And I just wanted to mention again. I mentioned her at the beginning of the video in a shout out. Christine, thank you so much for being there. She has been with me through thick and thin, and she means the world to me. She's absolutely incredible. And if you ever watch this, I just want to say thank you for being the amazing person that you are. And the rest of you guys, have a great evening.